In this episode of Negative Modifier, we'll be playing the game Delta Green. Delta Green, by design, tackles various mature themes that may be uncomfortable or triggering for listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Hey, it's Charlie, Negative Modifier's Game Master. First off, thank you for giving us a listen. As always, expect something horrible to happen to the players. If you're a fan, support us by leaving a review on iTunes. And if you hate the show, consider doing it anyway and enjoying the fact that you've inflicted us on someone else. For the most up-to-date news in the podcast, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And with that... Alright, so it's the next morning. It is Tuesday. You've done a full day of investigating at this point. You've spent a little bit of time in the field. You have technically met the target. Not technically. You have met the target. You've met some kind of peripheral targets. You have a couple things to investigate. You have a warrant, in theory, coming in at some point. You have some leads to run down. Maybe this catering company has hired us, something you can go to. You also did some research yesterday. You can continue along this way. We're going to pick up with Faustus and Francis, though, at the hotel. They've got a full night's rest. They have all their will points back, will points back for this. They're rested. They're fresh. It's a double tree. It's nice enough kind of thing. It's nice by economical hotel standards.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a Ramada Inn.
It's better than Ramada. It's much better than Ramada.
I guess I'm gonna Facebook stalk Ageless Catering, or I guess go on their website.
Well, so I guess we kind of get to the investigating. Let's do the morning, I guess. So you two wake up at the hotel. Like, do you do anything special? Like, in theory, you're waiting for a warrant to show up. It's not clear if it's going to come to the hotel or to Midas. I'm assuming you get breakfast of some kind. Do you use the hotel as that? You kind of grab something on the way there. What's the call on this one?
Well, Francis gets up pretty early, so he's probably going to hit that continental breakfast up, eat at least 4 muffins.
Sure. I believe it.
Honestly, probably same with Faustus. He's early bird, so he'll kind of hit up the continental breakfast as well.
No, and you two are on operation. Like, it would make sense to try and make the most of the day. You've gotten enough sleep to be rested, and yeah, so that goes fine. You have breakfast. People at the front desk say hi to you. As you're leaving the hotel, though, to kind of go to your car, kind of the car that's been arranged for you, both of you should give me an alertness check at -20.
Well, here we go.
Oh, success.
Success at 36.
Nice. Yeah, so you both kind of, from across the street as you're walking out, you notice a car parked in a loading zone. And as you notice it speeds away. And as it's speeding away, you notice that someone has spent some effort putting the license plate on it upside down. Like, you can still probably figure out, you do kind of get the numbers down off, but they have put it on upside down to kind of make it a little bit harder to track, hypothetically. One, it's not going to show up correctly on cameras, and it might mess with some people's perceptions, but you do kind of note that down. It's weird, though. It definitely seemed to be reactionary to you leaving the hotel, though, hypothetically. Definitely seems strange. Yeah, I'm assuming you go to Midas at this point?
Yes, I will be... My first thing is heading up to Midas.
Wait, was this just like a typical, like, black tinted windows government vehicle? Kind of got that look?
This was kind of just like almost like a sedan of some kind, just like a normal 4-door car, like you'd see in New York, hypothetically, or anywhere, really. It's a pretty nondescript kind of like civic vehicle or something.
It's pretty odd. I wonder why we'd be being watched, because we haven't done anything yet. I haven't even met the target.
Well, unless, of course, this is something that Bolton arranged. We are kind of messing around with some proprietary materials.
Yeah, but how would he know that we're following him?
Oh, sorry, not Bolton. I completely forgot. Bryce. Maybe that was... Well, I don't know, man. When it gets to corporate stuff, I get kind of...
But why would it be Bryce? We literally invited him along with us to the bar. Like, he is very... We're not keeping anything from him. He's very heavily involved.
Yes and no, in a sense of, like, I just don't trust suits, man. I understand that I'm in a habit, but at the same time, you have Bryce, who is privy to a little bit of what we know, and already he's kind of profiteering off of just a benign aspect of what we know. What makes you think he's not hungry for being able to get his hands on something else? He's just probably either keeping tabs on us, or it's like somebody else who followed us from the bar last night.
I don't disagree. I mean, I just think it's too early for him to be chasing us around. I mean, I guess it could be the office we went to, but it just we wearing badges, disguises. There's no way they would have followed us back all the way here.
Man, I don't know. Absolutely being part of this organization, I was starting to become suspicious of everything.
Yeah, I'm jumping at shadows too.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's It could be just someone installed the license plates upside down by accident, or they're stolen. Like, you just noticed it was weird and they kind of took off when you left. But, like, it could just be a coincidence, too. Stuff happens.
We weren't, like, tailed when they left the office building, were we, yesterday?
No. As far as, and you were walking, too, which would have made it harder. And also, like, there was no one to tail you, hypothetically.
Yeah. And there's no way we were tailored from the bar because we weren't even around then.
No, and to your point, you have done nothing to... Yeah, one of you has met Oscar, the other one has not met either of them, and the person that met Bolton didn't come back to the hotel even. She's at the offices, so yeah, the chances of someone sending people here or even, like, caring about your activities at the hotel, it's a remote chance, probably.
I will, since I assume we were able to note down the license plate, right?
Yeah.
I'll get in contact with, I don't know, the marshals later to see if that's pulls up as a government vehicle.
Yeah, can do.
Can I use a forensics roll or even like military science roll to kind of see if the upside down license plate is a known espionage tactic?
What's your forensics?
My forensics is 30%.
That's high enough to just know this already. Yeah, it's designed to make it just a little bit harder to track. So it's going to throw off cameras and all that stuff. Like any automated system that would keep track of the license plates that would be used to kind of easily track a car, it's going to have a little bit of a problem with this. And an average passerby is going to describe what they saw, not what the actual thing is. Like, most people wouldn't recognize that indeed the license plate was even upside down. You two do because you have some training in these types of things, but, like, think about you as the player. If you saw a license plate, would you inherently know if it was upside down or not, especially if it's from a state you're not familiar with?
Well, probably not. But then again, I mean, if I'm just, like, walking down the street in a car that's, like, parked, like, spins out or, burns out or whatever, to drive away, I'm probably gonna notice it.
Yeah, but you're not gonna recognize the license plate necessarily. It's just designed to kind of make it a little bit harder to do. Normal people might do this to kind of try and get away with, like, toll tickets and stuff like that. It's like, oh, it's not my license plate. That's obviously a different number. Mine is this, which maybe that's the same thing upside down, but prove it.
Is that is that like a common government tactic? Is that like a thing they tell you to do?
It's a criminal tactic, kind of like I guess kind of in the same vein of things. It's kind of like swapping license plates. We just find a car that matches your car's description close enough, and you just steal the license plates off of it and put them on your own. And when they run the plates for your car, they'll get the wrong vehicle. That's a thing criminals just do. Like, it's a tactic people would do. It's a tactic the government might do. It's a tactic that, like, drug dealers or high school teenagers who are trying to get away with being shitheads might do, even, kind of thing. Like, this is a thing people just, when they want to be a little bit sneaky and use a car, do. It's called shopping plates. If you want to go one step further, you have the front and the back plates match different cars that match your car's description, but don't be the same license plates.
Interesting.
It's a thing people pay to do. It's illegal as hell, but until you get, like, brought in on it, there's no real way of catching it easily.
All right, well, not to spend too much time on this.
No,
because it's probably not that important right now. We'll head to the Midas, I guess, unless you want to do anything else fast before we get there.
I want to update everyone as I send a text to the group chat. Just, hey, Francis and I were apparently being surveilled. There was a car with an upside down license plate. We have the number, but I don't even know if that's going to be anything useful for later. Who knows if they would have shopped it or not. I'm probably going to check out of my hotel and just kind of break that stay and find a new place to be. If not, just stay at Midas.
Yeah, you could also ask Bryce if you could transfer to another hotel. Like, the hotel is rented through Midas, so it's kind of got that extra shell layer on it. That's part of the reason Delta Green's using Bryce, is that you're there under the guise of, like, government task force for anti-terrorism, but also you're apparently part of the Pine Tree Consulting Organization that's been hired to do some internal audit thing there. Yeah, it's kind of a double layer of protection of weirdness. Yeah, you can definitely shuffle the location for you if you so want.
I will do that.
Yeah, so it's off the Midas, though?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you haven't been here this early in the morning before. It's hectic. People are running around, like, lots of phones going off, lots of papers being rustled, lots of yelling about stocks, selling, buying, information kind of being yelled across the offices. The kind of tinted or fogged up, the opaque thing for the conference room is active because the door is closed, and it appears that Foxtrot and Florence have triggered that thing for some privacy. As you walk in, it's kind of as normal as a busy morning, or kind of probably a typical morning here gets. Nothing inherently weird about anything, really, aside from the obelisk is still there. It's you're there for kind of weird reasons. Bryce Cohen's kind of looking out across the space like a king in his palace, just kind of like arms crossed, very proud of himself, just watching everyone go about their business as you walk in. He kind of does like a jaunty salute towards all of you. He's very happy about today, kind of thing. He's had a cool night. Like, this is the most he's done as a friendly before. He's kind of into this in a way he doesn't normally get to be. But yeah, no, as far as you can tell, nothing weird. Faustus, give me a search as you kind of, I'm assuming you're going to go hang out, or you're going to the conference room where Foxtrot and Florence are?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a search as you kind of walk through the space.
Failure at a 95%.
You feel like there's something off about the place, but you can't quite, it doesn't like fully register for you what's going on. It's not a dangerous odd thing, just kind of a small oddity doesn't quite make sense. But yeah, no, probably not important. It's not popping out at you.
What, are people worshiping the obelisk or something? They're doing
nothing that obvious kind of thing, but yeah, it's not important. No cult activity going on. Yeah, it's just something minor he may have noticed if he was paying more attention, I guess. But yeah, no, so I'm cutting now inside to Florence and Foxtrot. Florence, you've spent the entire night, I assume, just kind of, anxiety-ridden, like just a little bit of shock after what you did the previous day? Like, what's going on in her mind right now?
Yeah, I think that it probably started out as like a bit of anxiety and shock, and the way she deals with like any emotion that annoys her is by diving herself into research. So she actually has probably spent at least a couple of hours researching the company she now owns probably a lot of stocks in. So yeah, that's what she's been doing with her night.
Sounds about right. I'm assuming you did not sleep through any of this, correct?
Nope.
Yeah. All right. Foxtrot, what did you do the night before? You're used to sleeping in weird places and uncomfortable positions. Did you have a fine night's sleep? What happened with you?
I had a great night's sleep not too far away from Florence. I slept on the ground, so which is actually not a stranger to that. That's pretty much what I did. I have not been too far away in case any weird shit went down. So, but yeah, that's where I slept. And since everything is kind of busy and moving around and whatnot, I'm kind of up not too far away drinking some tea to start my morning off.
Cool. What did they bring you this morning?
This morning I started off with a nice jade tea.
All right. Really kind of stretching the tea variety of the office. I will say the secretary is kind of happy to not be just serving coffee for a change. This is a nice change of pace, and it's also way easier than coffee in her perspective. But yeah, so what do you guys kind of get up to? You've got this kind of license plate you could probably run. You're waiting on this warrant. Did you get back to kind of doing the research you were doing yesterday? What are people's plans for getting back into it this morning, I guess? All right, so what is the first thing you're going to get up to this morning? You've got this probably dead-end license plate number. You can kind of continue the research you were doing yesterday. You got a couple leads you can start trying to run down. What's the plan, I guess, for this morning? We're going to kind of take this in blocks, just like how much time it takes to kind of dig into this type of stuff. Previously, Faustus, you were checking in on Oscar and trying to track down something about his boyfriend, socialize. There's some kind of weirdnesses there. You didn't find anything super damning yesterday, but there's probably more to dig into now that you've met the guy and you have a name of Timothy for the current boyfriend's name, or new boyfriend, or the correct phrasing in this case is. You got kind of some more stuff you can dig into. You're still waiting on this warrant to show up. What are people looking into today?
I'm going to go. I would like to find out if there's like a company stylist. There has to be some sort of like PR team that could help just kind of change an image, right?
To what purpose, I guess? What are you trying to do?
In my head, Faustus has kind of made an ass of himself, and it's going to be like, oh, it's that douchebag, right? I'm wondering whether or not, if there's a specific company kind of like, much like how they have access to tailors or whatnot, if there was, I don't know, a company stylist or company barber that could help Faustus change his look enough that he's a bit unrecognizable to the point where he's not going to be as immediately understood as that doofus from Oxtail.
Gotcha. Okay, you're just trying to kind of make yourself less recognizable. Okay, I wasn't quite following you there. Yeah, it's definitely something you could probably try and figure out. Bryce probably has a recommendation or two about those. You know, someone that can kind of help freshen your look or tone it down, if you will.
I guess freshen my look to be able to better find out more of that information, or if anything else, just not be, especially if you're going to be around like high rollers and stuff. Sure. I don't want Faustus to be recognizable and jeopardize everyone's chance by being known as that guy.
Yeah, no, I definitely would say probably of the four of you, Florence is probably the only one that fits in visually, even then, she's kind of more scholarly than kind of rolling executive type like the rest of them are. That's always something you can do. So yeah, you're gonna kind of do that. Bryce can totally hook you up with someone to go do these cuts. He has several barber friends that would totally help you out in the circumstance. He's super excited. You're going to use one of his guys. So I'll take you out of the mix for a little while as you go kind of deal with that. What are other people doing?
Francis is going to sort of internet stalk the Ageless Catering Company and also, drop a call into the sort of the marshals to see if that plate runs anything.
All right, cool. You're going to run the plate and you're going to kind of look into Ageless Catering?
Yeah, and on the plate, he's not going to do anything deep, just to see if it's like a government plate or not.
Yeah, you don't have to do a search for that because you have access. No, the plate is not a government plate. It is a civilian plate. There are a couple notes when you run it about how it's suspected of being stolen a couple months back or replicated or something like that.
Gotcha.
It's a New York plate, though. Like, and these kinds of things happen. Like, using your martial background, you'd like, yeah, no, this is like we talked about, kind of a common thing that happens when you're just trying. Someone probably still has a little anonymity on their car. Nothing inherently Delta Green nefarious, but it also is mildly criminal. And the upside down thing, again, like, it's not the most effective thing, but yeah, it will make it like an untrained observer would not necessarily know to recognize that it was upside down, might give the wrong information. Yeah. The make and model does match the car. Like I explained, like they definitely seem to have shopped the plates on this thing. Not super well, but it's good enough kind of thing to pass.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and Ageless Catering is just a catering company, as best you can tell. It's got a very public website. It's got an Instagram. It's got Facebook. It's pretty successful. It seems to deal kind of primarily in large, high-end events. Like, it's the cater to the socially elite, if you will. They don't do like birthday parties and bar mitzvahs unless they're really expensive birthday parties and bar mitzvahs type of thing. And seem to have like you'd have to guess that, like, looking at this kind of what the pictures they have on their website and their various socials, it's a couple $1 million just for them to even think about taking the job kind of thing. The food looks really, really good from the pictures. They've done a bunch of like really high-end weddings. They advertise as kind of being aimed at large corporate events and kind of other large high-end gatherings. They bring their own staff. Yeah, it's on kind of what you're finding at kind of first glance. It's just a catering company. The owner's Rebecca Strickland. She started about 15, 20 years ago based on kind of the things. Talks about how she traveled all over the world, kind of learning various culinary techniques. Worked in a couple restaurants briefly, but chose to kind of take the more personal approach so you could deal directly with clients and kind of sculpt handmade events and meals specifically for what they were trying to do. And that's how she wound up in catering. She does a lot of the cooking herself. So kind of that annoying, like very flowery bio. You get a picture of what Rebecca Strickland looks like. She's a 35-year-old woman, give or take kind of thing, curly brown hair, all smiles in her pictures, very friendly persona to her, kind of a happy curly-haired chef, if you will, kind of mostly unremarkable, but definitely has that kind of cook chef vibe to her of some kind. Well, it seems to like what she does, and there's various pictures of her kind of shaking hands with clients and standing in front of banquets and stuff, posing with some of the more fancy foods they've done. No specific events listed, as would make sense for the kind of high-end clients, but yeah, it's all there. It seems like a legit catering company, as best you can tell, just at first glance. You get an address, you get a phone number, you get email. So yeah, it's a legit business. You can try and investigate the business some if you want. You could probably go to it if you wanted even.
I think I am good on investigating it for now.
All right.
I will consider investigating them further in the future.
Yeah. No, it's a good set of leads to kind of set stuff up with. Totally makes sense. Foxtrot or Florence, what do you want to be up to next?
Florence is going to spoof an email. Some position that would make sense within Bolton's company, in emailing Cambridge and looking to get a copy of his transcript.
Sure.
And obviously making it hard to trace the email, or however they would go about. But that's what she's doing.
Sure, I guess, what are you going about doing for this? This will require some type of craft to pull off. Like, what are you looking for, I guess, specifically? Trying to make sure Bryce is on the up and up? Like, trying to get a sense of who Bryce is? What's the goal?
I'm sorry, I thought it was Samuel Bolton went to Cambridge, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I got my people confused. You're trying to track down Samuel Bolton for this one?
Yeah, I just want to establish, like, a link that he's been there and when he first started taking classes.
Sure, I guess.
And work back his timeline from there.
What are you looking for specifically? Just trying to establish he was there specifically and that he has a history there?
I want to see the year that he was there, and the teachers he had classes with. I basically want to just, like, make sure there's concrete evidence that he went to Cambridge at the years.
No, sure, makes a lot of sense. Anything else?
I think then it's just going to be some social engineering on Facebook and Twitters and Instagrams for Rebecca. I forget Samuel Bolton's friend. His boyfriend's Timothy. I forget the guy's name.
Oh, Oscar.
And see if we can figure out who Timothy is.
Sure.
For Oscar's social media.
Yeah, so Timothy is actually pretty easy to find. He is still active. He's still doing stuff. Kind of. So in searching Oscar, you kind of and Timothy combine in a search, you do find various kind of social columns mentioning Oscar Nelson's new flavor of the month boy toy, new year, new model. They have a lot of kind of snide remarks about that kind of thing going on. And it's very easy to track him down through all of that. You do learn that his name is Timothy Mills. He is 25. He is relatively new to New York, graduated from acting school. Unsurprising to anyone who's been kind of following him. He is, as best you can tell, he's been with Oscar for 9-10 months, give or take. He showed up in kind of more prominence about 7-8 months ago, and a lot of the reporting, despite kind of like rolling its eyes, that the Silver Fox snags another one. It's like, yeah, they seem to have a genuinely good relationship. Like, they show up lots of cocktail events together. He's definitely kind of jokes about him being the arm candy, but at the same time, it's like, no, it seems to be a healthy enough relationship kind of thing, despite the age difference.
Gotcha.
Lots of snide tabloid talk.
How old do the tabloids pin Oscar?
They make mention, like a variety of them make mention to him being still really good looking for 55-year-old, but like they never say an official age, and kind of tracking down through all of that. Search, actually.
Sure. 86 out of 44 failed.
You're not finding much. Like he's probably just old enough that there's not a great digital trail for him, and if he's stayed off Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff, it's probably hard to keep track of that too. But yeah, they're more focused on the fact that it's, the Silver Fox snags another one, as opposed to exactly how old the Silver Fox is. And he's not super tabloid. He's at best like a D or E-list celebrity. He's a known person, but not kind of a person worth having like paparazzi on constantly to snag it. He's like, finally turning 60, are you kind of moments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then she's going to look up Oscar in tandem with Silver Fox. Seems to be the name that they're using for him, and see if she can find anything else with that.
That's just the description they're using. It's just those not familiar, That's just a description for kind of a slightly older, like he's aged into it well kind of thing. He's still good looking for a 55-year-old. He's starting to go gray in certain spots, but he's pulling a Clooney.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think she's going to get distracted again, looking back at that stock.
Sure. It has done worse than it was yesterday.
Have they done their vegan veil yet for their new product?
No, the stock is shrinking. There were some notes about how a couple kind of weird investors seemed to buy in as the stock went from bad to worse. But yeah, no, people at the company are real freaked out about all things and stuff like that. Like the financial news is kind of like, if you're looking to maybe buy some computers for cheap, I guess you now own some company assets, hypothetically. Like a lot of jokes about like, yeah, have fun at the liquidation sale. You're entitled to whatever the hell amount of the company you bought.
How much of the company does Florence own right now?
I don't know enough about stocks to tell you that. We'll say a chunk enough that you're probably like, they're suddenly aware that someone bought a ridiculous amount of their stock, $70,000 some odd dollars worth of their stock at an insanely low price. Like if we're talking about bad financial moves, like this could potentially be one of those ones where it's like, did you sneeze and press the buy button or something? Like, did you lose a bet? Is this some weird form of like financial BDSM you involve yourself in? Like how much money can I lose on a boneheaded move possibly? Like there might be financial textbooks written someday about Florence's absolutely baffling financial decision in this moment.
Yeah, I think when she like sees that the stock is doing worse, she like chokes on her drink for a second and just kind of waves it off and goes back to research.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that Dr. Florence is a Findom sub to a spooky rock.
Man, dude, that's an advanced joke right there. I don't even get that.
Financial domination. It's a whole thing we're not going to get into here. Yeah, so that's your morning. Faustus, you come back, you got a little bit of time after the barber. You do look, as the kids might say, fresh, and as Bryce insists multiple times, despite being probably a little too old to be saying that, not without seeming kind of a douche. Yeah, you look good. You're not quite as old looking. Probably the kids back at the youth center will give you some grief about your new look, but as one says, the clothes make the man, and the haircut definitely kind of. Yeah, you're still the same person, but like at quick glance, no one's going to recognize you as the person from the bar the night before. And if they were, you can probably pass it off as, oh, I've been on the plane, like I'd been frazzled, like this is me collected now and stuff. You did a really good job. Bryce's guys are good at this. Do you want to do any kind of last minute research this morning before we kind of move into, I guess, like the second third of the day, if you will?
I would kind of want to search what other kind of social circles, if not like charities, that either Oscar Nelson or Samuel Bolton have involved themselves in, whether or not there's any kind of like religious aspects that I can kind of get through.
Yeah. What's your search at?
My search is at 24.
Okay, yeah, that's a little bit more specific, so I'm going to make you roll for that. I'll give you a plus 40, though, because you've got plenty of time. You're not under stress right now.
Failure, 89%.
Yeah, you're not finding anything like that. It's despite Oscar being kind of a public persona, he's photographed lots of places, but he doesn't seem to have much of an online footprint, which is kind of a thing people that are wealthy enough tend to not have anymore because they're kind of above that. Timothy drags around more. He's much more into kind of documenting his adventures, and there are kind of pictures of him at galas and charity events and auctions and all that stuff. You do see kind of a couple overlaps of pictures that seem to suggest that Bolton and Oscar were at potentially the same auction a couple times or at the same dinner, but also they're both rich dudes. It would make sense they swim in certain kind of overlapping circles. They do seem to have their own lives, though, too. They're not kind of always on top of each other. But yeah, it's a big, prestigious, big socialite event. They're probably there, but probably so are a couple hundred other people who are suspicious for financial reasons, potentially, but not Century Club suspicious or Delta Green suspicious.
Gotcha. You also said that the Century Club kept popping up on really weird conspiracy stuffs, too?
Yeah, so we're not going to kind of transition into our second third of the day where we're going to play this. So you want to dig into the weird conspiracy aspects of the Century Club?
Yes. Would that be a occult role?
Yeah, it would.
Sweet. So I'm going to do some occult studying, and I want to dig into the Century Club then. And I am failing that roll at 92 out of 35%.
All right, so you don't find anything specific, but you do eventually stumble on to a name that pops up a couple times in connection to the Century Club. It's a man who goes by the name Century Danny is his name. He's chosen to kind of pop out a bunch of places. He's referred to as such, but you're not finding much about him specifically. There's mentions that kind of his blog is super crazy and kind of obsessed with a bunch of elite social clubs, but you're having a hard time kind of narrowing in on him. But I have another chance to dig into him specifically if you so wish with our final chunk of the day. What is everyone else doing in their kind of second of the three chunks of daylight? You're getting to kind of do some research and mess around.
I'm just going to wait around for the IRS thing hasn't come in yet, right?
Yeah, the warrant has not arrived yet, no.
Okay, I'm kind of waiting for the warrant to come in right now.
Sure.
So
Francis is going to do some on the ground, hitting streets. He's going to go sort of like, to stake out the sort of the dock office.
Yeah.
Anything exciting happens there.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. You take Foxtrot with you, maybe, just for an extra set of eyes?
Sure, if he's not doing nothing.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'll come along.
He's kind of the surveillance expert, too, given his CIA-ness. Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you're observing. Seems to be a normal day. You see the car that you're pretty sure you saw Samuel Bolton leave at last night pull up, and the guy that more or less matches him gets out and goes into the building kind of mid-afternoon. Makes a lot of sense. He was probably at the other office for the morning party. He's now at the docks, the dock office for the afternoon, evening. Kind of matches up with yesterday's sum, too. But yeah, nothing inherently weird happens while you're there. That seems to be a kind of normal day. You do kind of watch various dock goings-ons. Obviously, a couple things as a marshal, you're like, maybe we should check into that at a later date, but what you're here as right now. Yeah, you're doing a little stakeout. You're in a pretty good position, so I was going to notice you necessarily. Florence, what are you up to?
So she wants to start combing back through birth and death certificates and seeing if any of them have photos associated with like the newborns or the person dying, and specifically following down people who are related to Samuel Bolton or closely related to him or possibly looked like him in the past, stuff like that.
Yeah. You do find the occasional death certificate, but like they're weird. There's a lot more kind of mentions of like cousins, members of the Bolton family do occasionally die, but in your searching, you don't find a Samuel Bolton necessarily. Admittedly, all his family members do seem to be kind of less financially off, so maybe he's doing like maybe the family's more concerned with keeping their affairs private. How are you doing this? You kind of doing a computer search? You're going through like the phone service of public records? What's the
I think she's doing a little bit of both.
Okay.
She's gonna be going on to like public sites where you can like pay to like go through public records and whatnot, and also calling down to there are probably a couple of places of public records that she can call.
So give me a search at +20 for this.
Sure. 25 out of 66 success.
Yeah, so you do kind of like you find something that backs up that it's whatever's going on with the Bolton family seems to be isolated to just Samuel Bolton. You do kind of start noticing something weird, though. So Samuel Bolton, the one you're dealing with in theory at least, is kind of based on kind of some of the birth certificates you're seeing, is Samuel Bolton the Seventh. Seems to be a bit of a family name, maybe, but also looking at some of these documents, there's often kind of a little bit of weirdness to it. They're all home births with some frequency. There's kind of a couple paperwork clear, kind of give me a bureaucracy check, actually.
Oh, okay. 10 out of 85.
Yeah, I was sort of it's 85. You should have just gotten that automatically. If you weren't looking for kind of this kind of weird undying angle, you wouldn't notice it, but there's a weird inconsistency about it. There's a new Samuel Bolton seems to be born with a almost like regular intervalness. Like every 65 to 70 years, there's a new Samuel Bolton born, kind of like just enough overlap that the Samuel Bolton III would pass along his family and fortune to Samuel Bolton IV at like age 35 or so, kind of thing. Like it's a pretty consistent rhythm to things. Like it's almost like it's rolling through the generations intentionally. There's a very deliberate spacing to it, if that makes any sense.
It has a pattern.
Yeah. And a pattern doesn't make sense. And again, like there's this weird, like they're all home births. It's all kind of signed off by various doctors that when you research them, they're doctors, but they're not like good doctors necessarily. They do kind of home visits or whatever, or a couple of them are in kind of a surprising number of them have gotten in trouble for like prescription abuse and stuff like that, or kind of running some side businesses that involve maybe some overfilling of prescriptions, if you will, or kind of a prescription of unnecessary stuff. Yeah, but also a bunch of these doctors are from way the hell back. There's no record of them anymore. It's the more recent ones that you find the occasional new article of like Dr. Yulkin convicted of selling opioids at heroin addicts or something.
Are any of them still within, or any of them based out of the city here?
They're all over the place. Like there's no kind of rhyme or reason to exact locations.
Got it. Okay, good to know.
Yeah. It's going to kind of end our second chunk of daylight hours. So it brings us to our third chunk of daylight hours. Who wants to go first? I guess, like, let me set the tone first. Like, sun's starting to set. We're starting to get towards like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, that'd be kind of where we end around. It's getting late in the day. People are like, they've probably had lunch. They're just getting close to dinner time kind of thing. Businesses are starting to slow down. The offices of Midas have emptied out some. It's kind of an early morning and then leave and go get drunk and then repeat the day all over again type of crowd. Bryce is still there. He's maybe stopped and wants to see how things are going. But yeah, he's got a business run. He's got other stuff going on. A little more alone in the office at this point. What are people up to now? We still have Foxtrot and Francis at the docks doing the stakeout thing. Let's do them first.
Okay.
What are you looking for at this point? Like, is it you confirm this is kind of a normal, typical day as best you can tell? Are you like trying to like maybe scope out the place to break in hypothetically? You looking to kind of maybe try and tail Bolton again? What's going through your heads at this point?
Yeah, I was looking to break into the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Francis and Foxtrot probably have done hundreds of hours of stakeouts.
Yeah.
So while we're watching this, obviously we're both experienced not only with stakeouts, but we're all Francis is also experienced with the unnatural. Is he getting any sort of unnatural vibe? Like are people being extra shifty like criminals? Are there any strange boxes brought in?
Nah, no hybrids, no weird people. But against his offices, they're not necessarily like the shipping storage locations. But yeah, this seems like just a legit normal business. You've probably been on your phone looking stuff up. They deal in very mundane but profitable kind of imports and exports. They're a shipping company. They're not even necessarily a company that cares what they're shipping necessarily. But yeah, you've totally been out here long enough to get a sense of the security camera. You've tagged the security cameras. You've also noticed that like if you can get inside the gate that kind of is locked up around the whole facility before it closes, disabling the security cameras should be pretty simple. It seems to run to kind of a breaker of some sorts that with a little bit of effort you could get access to and sabotage or something.
Okay. Yeah, I also kind of wanted to just note the general foot traffic. Like, how busy do they just get normally during the day? Did we get a deal for that?
Yeah, the offices themselves are pretty normal. They're just shipping offices. People come and go with a little bit of frequency. The occasional guy shows up in a golf cart to check some paperwork or something. Maybe the harbor master stops by to confirm something. Yeah, it's just a normal kind of harbor side office for these types of activities. Like nothing inherently about what's going on is suspicious. Like the most interesting thing is the big boss is in theory in town. This might just be he's kind of in town this month and he's checking in kind of thing. Like there's nothing extra weird going on. You do see kind of Samuel come out at one point, get in his car and drive off. Office seems to be shutting down a little bit earlier than it did last night. Normal hours, if you will. Kind of got a 6 o'clock rolls around. You're pretty sure no one else is in there at this point. Maybe they kept a couple lights on, but yeah, no, seems to be pretty normal. They did kind of lock the gate up on themselves, but you're Delta Green agents. You can probably find a way past that if you want. But yeah, so that's going to kind of be your chunk of time. Faustus, what are you up to at this point?
I am deep diving into some weird blogs.
Yeah, you are.
Dig deep in some conspiracy theories. So, who the hell is Century Danny? Is that a occult role or is that a search role?
No, you've spent enough time researching this. Like this is, I'm trying to kind of denotate the passing of several hours, so it's more kind of a speeding up the process. But yeah, no, you have eventually found Century Danny's blog, and it is a masterpiece of kind of that the elites eat babies types of crazy conspiracy theory you've come to expect from just some semi-unhinged individuals. With a little bit of effort, you find out that Century Danny is actually named Daniel Grigorev. He's apparently based out of New York, kind of like using probably Florence to help ping some stuff. His IP address is actually out of Little Odessa in New York. You could totally go look him up. You have a pretty good idea of where his building is. And man, does he have it in for the Century Club. Like, it is just crazed pictures and sketches, like hundreds, like way too many posts for how long this blog has been up, like comparing the Century Club to the Freemasons and the Mormon Church, and just like any weird pseudo-occult organization this guy's linked the Freemasons to, and then the Century Club kind of thing. Like, there's implications the Century Club is run by aliens, a cabal of secret lizard men, it's run by a kind of a collection of mud people that every so many years like change their shape. It's all types of crazy captains and other stuff. Like it's absolutely unhinged. But the guy claims to have been a member of the Century Club at one point, and also is just absolutely adamant that they are actively trying to ruin his life.
I want to talk to this man.
All right.
Plan is, I'm going to pose as a reporter for Vice.
Okay.
Like Vice is just doing whatever the fuck.
This feels like some Vice stuff with your fresh new haircut. Yeah, you are a Vice reporter.
Jesus Christ.
So, like, I'm going to pose as a reporter for Vice. I'm going to need some fake press passes, which I will ask Bryce to make me. And then I will be visiting this gentleman.
There's even an email on the website. Like, if you want to inquire about the truth, you can message him kind of thing. You got to send him an email to try and get in touch with this individual.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like within seconds of hitting send on this email, you have just like a giant, ridiculously run-on email sent back. Almost this guy's like a standard response to inquiries, asking if you want to know the truth and a variety of other things. Like this guy seems just paragraphs are written all in caps, and several run-on paragraphs that have no capitalization or period whatsoever, and like letters blend together some. This guy seems nuts alone based on his text formatting. But yeah, he gives you an address at which he can be met. He seems totally willing to talk kind of thing. Like this guy is prepared to talk. He does kind of suggest a neutral meeting point so he can check you out, if you will. It's a cafe in Little Odessa called People's Brew. It's a coffee and he describes it as a coffee and kind of pastry shop of some kind of the old country. He just want to meet you that night, or you can wait tomorrow, whatever you want kind of thing. He needs to get the word out there.
In group text, I kind of asking people, hey, do we have any kind of mission plans? I think I'm going to go talk to the Gary Spivey of the Century Club.
I respond, me and Foxtrot, we're going to get a closer look at the other office.
Right on. I am going to. There's somebody that I found who's willing to meet, who claims to be a former member of the Century Club. Admittedly, he does believe in lizard folk and mudmen, which, looking back into our previous encounters, I am unfortunately now open to discussion about. But I may or may not have a lead. I will be bringing my gun.
So I'm gonna write back. You sure you don't want company?
I mean, it would make sense to take Florence with you, hypothetically. She is a doctor.
Florence? Question mark.
I am sitting in the same room as you.
I totally thought that we were in a completely separate room. Hey,
No,
Florence.
in one kind of conference room, yeah.
Oh,
She's
my
just
bad.
sitting behind him, so I've been quiet the whole
Like
time.
looking over his shoulder, be like, man, this guy seems crazy. I'd love to talk to him.
So this entire time we've all been in the same conference room, just like researching at the same table.
Yeah.
Okay, so not in group text, just like, hey guys, so.
Well, two of you were in a car by the docks. Like, yeah, the
okay.
group checks makes a certain amount of sense.
Gotcha.
I will come and be backup for you. We should go in 2 separate cars. I'll park about a block down, and you, I'll keep an eye out. I'll buy some like binoculars on the way or something. I'll bring my gun too.
I was gonna say, I'm posing as a reporter for Vice, so having somebody else wouldn't be too bad, but that's probably good. Are you a sharpshooter? You barely have shot a gun.
No, I'm not a sharpshooter. I don't have a rifle either. I did buy this fancy sight though.
Vice got karma, people. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to clear my head some anyways. I haven't really slept, so getting some fresh air would be nice.
Awesome. Well, this is this person's website, so just so that way you can get a quick dossier as to who I'll be meeting. I'm going to forward this to the rest of the group if they are interested as well. But otherwise, I need to go make myself some fake press credentials. I think that's a war crime. Is that a war crime? Could be a war crime. Who knows? Just joking about. And I leave.
Yeah.
While he goes to do that, can I just see how like secure this website is?
Sure. What are you looking for exactly?
I just want to see how easy it would be to get admin use on this site. Like, did he secure it well, or is this like something you could take a couple of hours to just?
What's your comp sci?
47.
Yeah, that's high enough to know. Just kind of basically looking at the infrastructure of the site. This is like 2 or 3 steps up from like almost a WordPress blog.
Okay. This is just curious.
This is not a robust operation. This is what you're looking at is probably what this is: a crazy person having a fucking the old school like Google blog, the blogger account might be more secure than this website.
I was going to say, is this a Tumblr made in Adobe DreamWorks?
Basically, yeah. Like this is even the guy owns the domain. It's probably like some subset thing he's renting from someone else, or like maybe he owns it, but it's like hosted on like I don't know, GoDaddy or something. Like,
Oh my god!
Yeah. It's on Angel Fire.
I'm not gonna go that far, but yeah, no. Like this is we're talking some like late '90s level blogging action going on. Like some like now that we're talking about it though too, like it's just like some real bad graphics. Like the quality's real grainy, the formatting's real shitty. Like it's again, by all measures, this guy is several types of unhinged. But man, does he talk about the Century Club a lot.
Can I, just from like a quick glance at his blog with my unnatural skill, does he have any merit to any of his conspiracy theories on anything else? Or anything connecting the dots to anything else?
Do you have any criminology by any chance?
I have the base 10%.
Yeah, so I'll give you this one because you do have some unnatural skill. And the answer is hell yeah.
Oh boy.
Some of the stuff he's talking about, it's he doesn't realize, like he's touching on some stuff that there's a lot of mention of something about a black goat with some frequency throughout all of this, but like he very obviously is not aware of what this thing is. Like it really is kind of crazed scrawlings, but at the same time, it never actually calls anyone out by a name. Like there is maybe not a kind of a method to the madness, but like it's very deliberately avoiding maybe legally actionable postings.
Oh, smart guy.
Yeah, like this is not the work of necessarily like looking at it from a, like, okay, this is actually legit standpoint with the unnatural skill kind of popping off in the background some. Dude's crazy. Dude's smart and is crazy, though, hypothetically. So we are kind of in the night now, if you will. We're going to do Francis and Foxtrot's little B&E first. So you got this locked gate. It's kind of got like a padlock on it of some kind. Lots of ways of overriding that. You're skilled agents. You know your way around a kind of a lock, if you will. You got this building with some heaviest security. It's light security. Maybe you have to fry the tapes or something because it's probably aimed at the gate some, but you feel pretty confident it's more kind of a closed circuit TV. Maybe someone could IP access into it, but it's more designed if something goes wrong, you can dive into it, if you will. What's the approach?
Is it already dark or is it like still sunsetty right now?
It's darkish. It's probably like dusk kind of thing. Like it's still probably some sunset going on, but like it's dark enough you're going to be a little harder to detect at this point.
Okay. Well, then I guess we'll just kind of, or I'm going to, just kind of start heading towards, kind of based off where I was kind of eyeballing everything, find the one spot I can kind of get to easily. Is it like a huge gate fence thing? Like, is it like a chain link fence?
Yeah, it's a chain link. It kind of swings in out of the way to kind of make an opening to drive in and out of. Like it's just been kind of swung out to close out the space. It's not super secure. It's literally just kind of like a master lock. It's probably got a custom key system to it for ease, but yeah, it's nothing insanely robust. Like this is totally something you could smash with a rock or break apart if you had a little bit of time or the right tools for it, or a lockpick even.
Is there an area around the wall of the gate that like maybe we can like hop over? Because I don't necessarily want to break the chain or at least cause any damage right away.
You can try to scale the chain link fence. That'll make some noise though. It's like a 30-foot tall chain link fence. It's a legit fence around this kind of thing. Like it's a shipping yard. Like this is not the peak of security because it's not where they store the stuff, but like it's got the basics of your industrial kind of setup. At the probably top of it has some razor wire on it, or at least some barbed wire. There's ways around that both of you would know. You can totally throw like a backpack or a carpet over that to climb that. I would also say, just kind of based off of what you're seeing at the docks and just kind of what you've observed all day, like you could probably get away with bashing open this lock so long as you make it look like someone real sloppy tried to break in afterwards. There's homeless people around the dock. There's drunk dock workers about every once in a while. You feel confident that if you kind of messed up this fence enough, like by backing the car into it or something, someone might assume, shit, someone hit the gate again, hypothetically.
Okay. Then yeah, that's I'll just go ahead and break the lock and try to go into that gate.
All right. You gotta try and break it. Find a rock to bash it with, hit it with your gun, try and be a little more covert about it. What's the plan?
I'm going to use a rock.
All right. I guess Francis got to chime in with this. Are you play acting up to this? Like, what's the plan? Is the plan to kind of destroy any security footage inside? Is the plan to kind of act drunk up to the gate and hit it with a rock? Like, what are you thinking is going to be your cover for this? Because you are, in theory, on camera at this point. You'll have access, hopefully, to said cameras to get rid of that feed or kind of mess with that footage, but at this exact second, you have to kind of maybe mask your actions some in case this doesn't quite go the way you want it to.
You know what? I'll go with the drunkenness, I guess.
All right. Yes, you kind of stumble about some. You find a rock, and you just kind of get up there and start bashing at the lock or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually works, kind of with a loud kind of clank. It eventually kind of gives way as you hit it enough times. So you kind of stagger the gate open, kind of into the space. It's like, look at me, I busted a gate open.
Yeah.
What do you have to do from there?
From there, I'm just going to kind of stagger towards the area where the cameras would be housed, or at least the security footage would be housed. But I'm going to like drunkenly stagger until I'm off frame and then walk with purpose.
All right, so yeah, you're in a dead zone. The like junction box for them's on the outside. It's probably stored inside would be your guess. Like that's both of your guesses. Francis, what are you doing through all of this? So he's kind of wandered in there, made a good cover of. The drunk guy broke the gate, hypothetically. You doing anything to kind of help back this up or anything? You kind of being the drunk friend stumbling around with this dude? What's your cover through all this? Or what are you doing to kind of help this move along?
Yeah, I'll be the drunk friend.
Yeah. You doing anything in particular? Like, yeah, you fucked that lock up good or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm going to give him a real pat on the back for it, you know?
Yeah, so you both are in the dead zone. You know the easiest way to kind of deal with this stuff is probably kill the power to the building, which is a very doable thing, hypothetically, but that will also cause some other red flags. How you dealing with the security system, I guess? You're trying to get at the junction box. You got to try and knock out the cameras that are directly applicable? What's the plan?
My approach is going to be going to the cameras that are directly.
All right, so you're going to try and like knock this out with a rock or something, like throw stuff at it? You're going to shoot it out? What's the plan?
The junction box can disable the cameras, but it would cut the power, right? You said?
No, the junction box will just kind of cut the feed to the cameras. Like that's probably where the Ethernet cables that hook up to these things all come together and go into the wall or something like that. Like that's just a basic security network thing. Again, this is not like some high-end system they got going here. It's just kind of a basic set of cameras.
I want the junction box. Yeah.
All right, so you'll have to kind of get up a little bit of distance, but like you can do that. There's probably like there's access to the roof. There's a ladder. You can probably get up there. That's where it makes sense for it to be, kind of thing, just based on installations. Give me an athletics to kind of scramble up there.
All right. 40% out of 50 success.
Yeah, Francis probably helps you out some. He kind of gives you 10 fingers, and you get up there. You find the box. It's pretty obvious. This kind of conduit cables running up to it from all over the place with the cameras. Where you get your knife in and just kind of pop it open, and so you just pull the cables on it. Is the plan to kind of go back and try and set this back up so it looks like no one was here for this, or what are you going to cover this with, I guess? Because you could totally kind of mess this stuff up temporarily and then put it back later.
No, I'm going to permanently cut them, I think.
All right.
Or actually, Francis, should we go for a temporary or a permanent solution here?
Definitely permanent.
Okay, sounds good to me. Yeah, I'm going to go for a permanent solution and cut the wiring out.
Yeah. You got to kind of continue the drunk ruse. Like, drunk people get weird places all the time. Going to bash the space up, someone to make it look like someone like a drunk guy got up there or something like that.
I mean, is there a camera directly on this point?
No.
No. Once I got into the dead zone, I was walking with purpose anyway. So
yeah.
I stopped. I stopped the drunk act after that.
Yeah.
So now that the feed's cut, I'm cutting the drunk act out, and my next thing is now that the feed is cut, my next goal is to get to where the security tapes are being housed.
And that would be inside.
Okay, and yeah, that's my next goal.
All right, cool. Yeah, so you kind of get back down on the ground. You're pretty sure the cameras are out at this point. The system for them's dead. At least the kind of feed for them's dead. So they're probably on, but not recording anything because they got nowhere for that feed to go. So yeah, the door is locked. How do you handle this? You got to bust the door. You got to try and pick it. You got to try and kick it in.
I'm going to look over to Francis to say, you know how to pick a lock, or you want me to?
You seem like you know what you're doing. I'll let you take care of it.
Okay. So,
So lockpicking is a skill in Delta Green that I'm not sure either of you necessarily have. It's a special training thing.
Okay.
But I'd say kind of like, that's more to do it quickly. I'd say that both of you, given your professional backgrounds, probably are familiar with the process enough. With enough time, you could probably get in there and do some damage, hypothetically.
Okay. What kind of roll would I be doing if I wanted to try to lockpick that?
What you got for criminology?
10.
What you got for criminology, Francis?
I have a 56.
Oh, yeah, you should be the one doing this.
I was going to offer stealth because I figured you to be stealthy. One of the lockpicking would be something you'd be used to, but criminology is a thing. We can run with that. Oh.
No dice. No dice.
Yeah, you're having a hard time picking it. It's not a smooth thing. It takes some time. I was going to say, you do get it open eventually, but it's very obvious someone was messing with this. There's a bunch of kind of scratch marks from your attempts to get it open.
Oh, that's totally fine. I mean, they're going to know someone was messing with it as soon as they look at the camera box.
Yeah. Probably a bit louder, a little more swearing under your breath than maybe you want. But yeah, no, you're leaving a bit of a trail of an evidence, but also drunk people do weird things. You've established that as an alibi.
Yeah.
I mean, so the cameras are none of them are recording anymore.
No, they're
right?
dead. Yeah.
Gotcha. We still got to delete the footage though, right?
Yeah, I'm going. That's my next goal. As soon as we get in there, that's what I'm going for.